Hello, and welcome to another edition of our Superintendent Update, our opportunity to talk to Burlington Public Schools Superintendent Eric Conti about all the latest school news. Eric, thanks once again for coming in.
You're welcome, Rich.
I know we're going to talk a lot about all the changes happening at the state level, but I just wanted to start off with, since earlier this month, all the schools have been fully in person all day. And at the same time, I've noticed, from the school website that there seems to be less new cases, than there were even a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute to that success?
I think we're seeing fewer cases in schools because we're seeing fewer cases in the community. And I think schools are a reflection of the community positivity rates. And I believe more and more members of the community are getting vaccinated, and we're seeing rates fall. I think for a while, 16 years old and older have been able to get vaccinated, and I think there's been many of our students who've taken advantage of that. And now with the age limit being 12 years old, I think we're seeing more and more students take advantage of that. So again, I think the 5 full days have been working well, and I think that's largely because of the planning of our school administration teams and the teachers and all the support staff. And I think they've been planning for a full return and wanting to have students back in school for a long time.
All right, and then as I mentioned at the top, things have been changing kind of regularly. Even just yesterday, the governor sort of said that there will be almost no restrictions starting at the end of this month. What does that mean for the schools?
Truthfully, we don't know yet. So right. There's a meeting with the commissioner virtually tomorrow afternoon. My understanding is many of the governor's relaxation of protocols were meant for businesses. I think schools are in a category by themselves. I think there will be some relaxation when it comes to schools. We just got notification, for instance, that the MIAA, which is the governing body of interscholastic sports, basically indicated that masks are no longer needed for outdoor events for athletes and or spectators, but indoor events still require masks. So I think the changes are welcome. I think it's an indication that across the Commonwealth, the overall percentage of people who are vaccinated are meaning that life is starting to open back up. It's just schools require time to plan, and with 4 weeks left of the school year, we may not be able to incorporate all of the changes until next fall, but I think it's a very hopeful sign.
And does it mean, especially considering outdoor events, that does it make it more likely that things like the senior night that was previously planned but then had to be put on hold could be affected, or maybe graduation might be a little bit bigger or anything like that?
It could be, and as of yet, the guidance for those events haven't been changed. So they may be changed after May 29th, but if graduation is June 6th, there wouldn't be significant changes because it takes us a while to make plans. It may be that we allow more spectators, for instance, if instead of limiting the number of people at the event, we may look at something like that. But that's we're going to be paying attention very closely to what the commissioner says tomorrow, and what about these changes apply directly to schools.
Okay. Yes, there's a lot of changes in a short amount of time. So we just wrapped up town meeting last night. I know the school department had a few capital projects. Anything sort of stand out as something worth highlighting as far as what you were able to get passed through town meeting?
Again, I'd like to thank town meeting for their support, as always, for both our operating budget and our capital projects. There's a lot of time and energy and a lot of people that contribute to the success that happens at town meeting. So the Ways and Means Subcommittee has spent a lot of time, school committee has spent a lot of time, and never mind the school department staff that have been sort of researching these projects for for many, many months. So I think that's good. The most significant capital item was the resurfacing of Varsity Field and track. And I think that is, we've gotten the expected life out of both the turf and the track, and I think it's the most highly utilized field in town. And I think that we will be replacing those surfaces, and I'm sure they'll be incredibly well utilized moving forward. I think there was a suggestion made that we start thinking about the replacement 10 years from now, much earlier in terms of a financial plan. So I think that's something that we're considering, where maybe we look at who's using the field and how we can collect some funding for the ultimate replacement that we know is going to happen in 10 or 11 years. So I think that was a great suggestion by town meeting.
Right. And I think some people might not have, realized that, that there's a certain gauge that is done, or a test that is done on a field, and if one part of the field fails, then the entire thing is sort of not able to, to be used for any sort of official school, activities.
Yeah, and again, the GMAX testing is,
Right.
I think, what it was, and believe me, I just learned a little bit about that myself this year, and I think that all synthetic surfaces get compressed over time, especially if they're highly utilized, and I think that was sort of expected, and no matter how much new fill or how much other work we can do, at some point you get to the point where the surface needs to be replaced. The good thing is the significant work that's done with synthetic surfaces happens underneath the surface, and by replacing it and keeping that up to date, the part underneath lasts longer too. So it would be a much higher cost if we had to do groundwork before replacing the surface of the field.
All right. So last thing, just any update on the Fox Hill project? I know it was sort of a point of discussion at the last school committee meeting.
Yes. So I think we'll be continuing to discuss it at school committee meetings. I think that we are on track to create the Fox Hill Building Committee. I think the school committee suggested expanding the number of representatives from Fox Hill, teachers, parents, community members. So we're figuring out a process to select the people who are interested, especially if we have more people interested than we have spots for.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're working on that. Our hope is by June 22nd, which is the second school committee meeting in June, that committee will officially name the Fox Hill Building Committee, and then we can move forward. The next significant event is, once the building committee is selected, is the submitting a request for proposals for an owner's project manager, or an OPM. And once that person is brought on, then that person really does a lot of the detail work associated with the school building authority in the process. So I think that's all planned on happening this summer. And so we're making progress. And again, it's a scripted process, and it's
and a multi-year one.
It takes 6 or 7 years by design. So there may be opportunities for us to shorten in some areas, and we may need to take longer in some areas. And I think a big part of the school committee discussion was on the consolidation question, and if they're not planning on supporting consolidation, do we need to spend time exploring that option? So we're still talking to the school building authority as to what the impact of undergoing the consolidation question or bypassing the consolidation question.
Right.
So I don't have an answer or an update for that right now.
No. And just so people know, it's a possible consolidation with Pine Glen.
Yes.
Right. All right. Well, I know you have another meeting to get to. I appreciate you taking some time from your busy day to come by and talk with us, and we will hopefully see you again next month.
Right, and Rich, what I would offer is, if we're going to make significant changes due to the governor's changes, that maybe we should get together before next month and just, again, we'll get guidance on tomorrow afternoon from the commissioner, and if there are going to be some changes, we try to do a weekly video, but maybe following it up with a BCAT video would be helpful.
Absolutely, come by anytime. We can always do a superintendent update for May Part 2, I'd be happy to do it.
All right, Rich, thank you very much.
Thank you.